Do you want to lose the Time War? Because this is how you lose the Time War. I've been meaning to do that for like 2 weeks now. Not necessarily throwing the book. That is not me trying to be like, this book is trash. The book is very good. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it's this stupid bit that's been in my head. And like, I have to do that. And I've been wanting to record this for a while, but I was like, I'm gonna record it, I'm gonna do it. Ah, shit, I didn't bring the book with me, so I can't do the stupid thing. Before I really say anything about the book, there are a couple things I want to point out. Number one, I don't know if you can see it very well, but I wrote my notes for it in blue and red ink. I alternated it as I go. It just felt right to do, and I specifically changed my clothes a little bit. You won't really see it, but my shirt, it's blue. It's a dark blue, and my pants are red. I'm not trying to show off my knees. That's weird. But I'm wearing blue and red. I'm trying to get into the spirit of this, because I did enjoy the story. So, I want to actually get into it. So the way I wrote my notes, I did it the way I tend to do movie reviews. Unless they're I notice I don't really do this for Godzilla movies, because, I mean, it's a Godzilla movie. There's nothing really to spoil. What do you think is gonna happen in the movie? But I did it as a non-spoiler section, a mild spoiler section, which is getting more into like some of the specific set pieces, but not revealing any like major reveals or going into the climax, and then a full spoilers where, anything is fair game. So going into the no spoilers, the story is about a war that takes place across time and space with these two organizations. You have the Agency, which is this very advanced technological organization, like they're very robotic, and the Garden, which is this I've heard it referred to as biopunk, which I didn't know was a thing. I looked into that a little bit, and that sounds really cool, but it's this more like biological, plant-like, animal-like kind of thing, and I believe it's the leader of the Agency is the Commandant, which is a great word. I like Commandant, Commodore. I love words like that. And then the leader of the Garden is the Garden. I guess it's kind of just a sentient thing. It works. It makes sense. So there's that. One thing they talk about is that I believe they refer to like any point in the multiverse. That's the best way I can explain it. It's a very multiverse kind of thing. I believe they call them stratums. And one thing they talk about, there's one chapter where I think it's a red chapter, and she's like, I fucking hate Atlantis. Because Atlantis, like, it always has to fall, but there's, like, a specific person you have to save, and, like, this Atlantis was really good at this thing, so I gotta save this kind of person, and blah, 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 and this thing like this. Like, there's multiple versions of Atlantis. Another thing I specifically remember them bringing up is Romeo and Juliet. And I believe it was Blue who was saying that I love going to see Romeo and Juliet anytime I'm in a stratum, because I don't know how it's going to end. Because there are some stratums where it is a tragedy and everyone dies. Not everyone, you know what I mean. What the hell ever happened to Benvolio, by the way? Like, you ever think about that? There's a point where he's like a major character in Romeo's story, and then Tybalt dies, and Mercutio dies. I mean, technically Mercutio dies and then Tybalt dies, but you know what I mean? And then Benvolio's just gone. He doesn't die. He never even says, like, I'm gonna run away. I think what he does is he's talking to, like, the prince and the parents. He's like, if I said something wrong, then let Benvolio die. But he doesn't show up again, and he didn't say anything wrong, if I remember correctly. It's like, did he die off screen? Did Billy just forget to write him in the last couple acts? Like, it's something that's always kind of like, what happened here? Anyways, my point. In some stratums, R&J is a tragedy, as we know. It's like, in others, it's a comedy where everyone lives. So I like to go see it because it always keeps me on my toes. And that weird kind of timey-wimey stuff, I really appreciate. Our two main characters, Red and Blue, which, I tried to make sure Red's name was always written in red, Blue's name was always in blue. They are elite agents, one from each group. Red is from the Agency, Blue is from the Garden, who start writing letters to each other. Blue writes the first letter to Red to be like, hey, I've seen you before. Like, you're really good at your job, and I think you're really swell. You're gonna lose. Like, as good as you are, you're not as good as me. But, have fun, tough shit, enjoy the L. And then Red writes back, and it was like, you know what? I appreciated your letter. That was kind of fun. You're the one who's gonna lose, though, and here's why. And it's them going back and forth, and there's times where the letters are like, this is how I beat you, and I'm gloating. There's other times, I think it's a blue letter pretty early on, he's like, you know what? No gloating this time, no thwarting, but I know that stratum you're in very well, like you're hanging out with the Genghis. He was a very good friend of mine, so, like, tell him hi for me. I really like that, dude. I'm not messing with you today. And it's just back and forth reading the letters, and I really enjoy the letters. I really enjoy the wordplay. Pin in that, because I have one where I think when I get to full spoilers, I'll bring up my favorite piece of wordplay, because it's so good. I remember reading going like, oh, damn, like, I felt that one. That was fantastic. Oh yeah, and I say letters. The letters are not, they don't tend to just be pen and paper. The one in Atlantis, I believe, was specifically written in the lava of an active volcano as it erupted. There was one that was written in, like, the venom of a bee sting. It's really abstract, but it's really cool and super neat. From what I understand, there's a script for, I don't know if it's for a film or if it's for a TV adaptation, but some kind of screen adaptation. And I'm like, with how abstract some of the letters get, that I'm kind of curious to see how that would get adapted. But I mean, I would totally watch a Time War adaptation. As I keep saying, I really enjoyed the book. I mean, technically it's a novella, but you know what I mean? I really enjoyed the book. So I'd be happy to check it out. But I would say that's pretty much it for no spoilers. So moving into the the mild spoilers, is that this does end up becoming a love story. It goes from we're enemies on opposite sides of the war to we actually have this, not begrudging, but I feel like a genuine respect for each other. It kind of develops into a friendship, and then it's, oh no, I feel like I love this person. And them writing in the letters, like, I have this feeling, and I'm not quite sure what it is. I think this is love, but I've never really felt it before, but it feels so good to say it and to write it, so I will. I love you, I love you, I love you. And I really like that. Again, like, there's a reason they bring up Romeo and Juliet a few times. It's a very Romeo and Juliet kind of story. Won't know if it ends in a tragedy or a comedy until the full spoilers, but you've got two people who fall in love, a big overarching conflict where they are caught in the middle of it. And I do really like that. I will say, if you go into this for the romance and the love story, I think you'll really enjoy it. If you're going more for the, like, timey-wimey shenanigans, you're probably not going to enjoy it as much. I feel like it is there. Like, whenever they kind of talk about it, again, the little bits you get to know about stratums, I think that's neat. I feel like if you really want a cool time travel science fiction story, it'll scratch that itch, but it won't really satisfy the itch, you know what I mean? Hopefully you know what I mean. That's, anyways. Let's see, what else do I want to say about this? Oh, there's a point in the narrative where it's something they do talk about pretty often, is the Commandant and the Garden can't know about our friendship. And then, you know, our eventual romance, because if they do, you know, Commandant's going to think that I'm betraying her, and I'm not, but maybe I am. And, like, well, Garden can't know what I'm doing because I'm not betraying her. Like, because that's another thing. There's a point, like, pretty further in, where, like, yeah, I love you, I love you. We're still going to win the war, by the way. No, you ain't. We're going to win the war. And I do really like that. But there's a point where they start getting followed by a shadow. And I remember reading it and thinking, this is a timey-wimey kind of story. I'm pretty sure the shadow is probably one of them. It's either red is following red and blue is following blue, or maybe it's just one of them following. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because one of them died and they're following to make sure, like, I want to have every trace of you that I can. Maybe it's, I'm just trying to clean up our mess so we don't get found out. Not 100%, but that's what I figured was gonna happen. Another theory that I had, again, because of, like, timey-wimey multiverse shit, are they the same person? And it's, in the world where the agency exists, they became red, and in the world where the garden came to be, they became blue. That was a theory I had for a while, and it stuck with me for pretty much till the end of the story. I think that's really it to say for the mild spoilers, so I'm gonna go ahead and start talking about full spoilers. So I'll give a quick countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So I'll go ahead and address my theories. So with the first one, I was 100% correct. It was that red is the shadow that is following them. And my second theory, I was wrong. They are different people, but they are very strongly connected. There's an earlier part of the novel, I feel like it was a pretty early letter, where you find out that Blue had a chance to kill Red when Red was younger, and didn't take it. And when Red realized, I was like, oh my god, you could have killed me and you didn't. Thank you. I sincerely hope your people don't find out about that, because you're probably fucked. I appreciate it, but why would you do that? Oh my god. And at the end of the novel, Red gets to save Blue. A major pin in that. Oh my goodness. That's related to the first pin with, like, my favorite wordplay. Blue ends up getting poisoned and is going to die, and, like, does die, but Red is able to go to another stratum when Blue was very young, because Blue explained to her in a previous letter, this is, like, how you would do those kinds of things. It talks about how I was very sick and I was cut off from the rest of Garden, but then something came and saved me, and that thing ends up being Red because Red goes and saves her. The way it was written was, Red enters Garden and she almost gets, like, assimilated by, like, the grass and the vines. And I remember reading it going, oh my god, I was right. She's actually turning into Blue. This is wild. And then, oh, okay, no, she is saving Blue. And it's like they are, in a sense, they've kind of become one flesh, but they are not actually the same person in different stratums the way I thought. I was close, and again, the way it was being written at the end, I was like, I was right. I wasn't quite right, and I have to take my L's when they show up, but wanted to be honest about that. The real big spoiler thing, there's a part where Commandant calls in Ren and is like, look, we know that this, I don't want to say agent, because agency and garden, so I guess I'll say seed, this, like, sprout from the garden seems to have taken a liking to you. And we want to use that to our advantage. They enjoy writing you letters. They just wrote you one. I want you to write a response. And knowing that, because it was also that Blue, like, I don't really understand what she did. She did some shit that was really gonna help Garden win the Time War, and then we gotta put a stop to her now. So, the letters are going to be written in, like, poison berries. And given her personality, she won't be able to resist. So Red has to write a letter while they're watching her. Just kind of like a bullshit whatever letter. And then is also writing secret letters going, I hope you don't read this. Because if you read this, it means you're ingesting the poison. And I'm so sorry. And I love you. And I've written like 6 of them. Like 1 in each berry. And all that. I really, really like this segment. Because it's Red being forced to do it, and then Blue deciding to eat the berries. Red's mindset is, if I refuse to write these letters, they will kill me. Because I have from their perspective, if I am loyal, I have no reason not to write this, because I would just be killing another agent, which is something I'm really good at anyways. And given how much of a threat Blue is, I should be gung-ho about killing this enemy agent. And the fact that I'm not is suspicious. But if I do go forward with this, I'm killing the person I love. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But she goes through with it. And when Blue receives it, she's like, I can smell a trap. I can smell a rat. If I don't do this, because from everyone else's perspective, I am the kind of person who would read this 10 times out of 10. If I don't read this, it means Red tipped me off, and they will kill her. if I do read this, it means I'm going to get poisoned and I'm going to die. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? Ugh. The things I do for love. And then she eats them and she gets poisoned. And the final letter that she writes to Red, and that's my favorite bit of wordplay, which is like, you're red like the hourglass on the back of a black widow spider. And I remember reading that just going, damn, I felt that. Like the hourglass on the back of a black widow. Ooh. But that happens. And then Red, goes to save Blue. And after she is able to save Blue, she gets arrested by the agency and thrown in prison. Like, she gets tortured for information and blah, blah, blah. And the final chapter ends with her in prison, but she gets a letter from Blue saying, like, yeah, I'm fine. I've lived. I am creating a distraction so that you can escape. With the implication being that Red being as skilled as Red is, that they're going to be able to escape, and they'll be able to live together. So it's not that Agency wins the Time War or that Garden wins the Time War. Neither of them really do, but each side has lost their greatest asset. And no one's really going to be winning. And the only ones that are really going to be winning then are Red and Blue, because they're going to be able to be together. Let's see. Was there anything else I really had to say? Oh, there was one other thing I had to say. It was like, yeah, so like, is that everything in terms of the plot? Yes. Like I keep saying, I liked it a lot. I had a lot of fun with the letters. Again, like the little bits you get of the timey-wiminess, I think are really fun. I think a lot of the wordplay is really good. I think the the weird abstract ways that they read or ingest the letters, I think are really cool. What this book reminded me of, weirdly enough, like, yes, I thought of Romeo and Juliet. The story clearly wants me to compare it to Romeo and Juliet. It made me think of, do you remember Mr. and Mrs. Smith? The movie where Brangelina became a thing? I remember that movie. It's a movie I really like. I haven't seen it in a long time, since I was, 12. But I really liked that movie back when I was 12. But it's like, two agents working for different agencies that are, in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's possibly they're the same agency but different factions. Like, I'm not super sure, but at the very least, different agencies, and they work against each other, and because like, oh shit, it's bad for business if this agent and this agent are, in a relationship, so you guys gotta kill each other and get that figured out. I was like, this is Mr. and Mrs. Smith across time and space. But I liked it a lot. Like, I wasn't expecting that, but I don't think it's a bad thing at all. It's only about 200 pages. I think it's slightly shorter than that. I grabbed the book, but it's over there. I think it's like 197 or something like that. You can get it done in a couple days. You can get it done in like an afternoon if you have the time. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Like I said earlier, I don't know if an adaptation is full on in the works, but I heard they have a script written or like a pitch written just in case. If there is an adaptation, I will certainly be watching it. I think that's it. I'll see you later.